So part one cut off a little bit. I think the program's trying to tell me something. So I'll try to pick up where we left off here. So I was in Eric's Orange project folder, and we're looking at the permission levels for John, and I gave him permission to edit. And if I go back to John's, refresh here, and I click on an image, he has all the options, the same ones I do. Alright, so I'm going to unselect that image, and let's go back to the agenda real quick. So we created and worked with documents and folders, and we shared files and folders on OneDrive. Let's see here. Go back to my OneDrive here. I'm going to minimize John's and maximize Eric's real quick. Now the next thing is we're going to sync OneDrive for Business Library to your computer. And by the way, I didn't include this here, but the difference between OneDrive and OneDrive for Business is OneDrive, you use your personal Microsoft account. OneDrive for Business, use your school or work email account. In this case, it's your modern day email account. So let's go back to our portal, and we're still in OneDrive. Actually, let me go back to John's real quick, and say I exited out of the project. How would I go back? Instead of going back to the email, let's say these are long gone. So how do I go back? So through John's account, I go back to his OneDrive, and his folder is empty because he hasn't authored any files yet, but on the left menu here you have a few options, and so I want to look under Shared With Me, and that's where I see the two things that I originally shared with John, the Orange Table document and the Oranges project. So now let's go back, minimize that. I'm going to close this document. Alright, so now syncing. You have three options here. If you haven't selected any items here, then you'll see the sync button. If you have, you can uncheck it here. If you selected 10 or 20 of them, and you don't want to go back and unselect all of them, you can click on the little X up here. So let's go ahead and click on sync, and we're going to sync now. It's asking you, are you ready to sync your OneDrive for Business Documents? You are, and you want to make sure that this looks similar to what mine looks like. It's your C drive, users folder, and your name here. If not, you change it and find the path for that. Go ahead and sync now. What it's doing, it's created a folder for me on my computer in my File Explorer, and what that will do is let me access all these files here in the background from my local folder File Explorer. So this will take a few more seconds. In fact, I'm going to pause it for a second. So it's saved, or it's synced. Actually, it's still syncing, but while it's finishing up, you can go ahead and view them. So I'm going to open up File Explorer here, and I'm going to click on OneDrive, Modern Day Catholic High School. And depending on how you have it set up, it might be under your quick access bar. It might be down here. You'll have to find and see where you left it, or where it synced to. Now, as you can see here, there's a folder called Oranges Project, and we should see the other one, Orange Table. Oops. We should see it down here. It's still syncing, so it'll show up any second now. But let's go ahead and open Oranges Project. So this is still empty. going to go ahead and pause for a second while this finishes syncing. So it's still in the process of syncing, but what I want to show you is down here in your hidden icons, if you click on that, there's a little icon with blue clouds and the little green status bar moving back and forth. And this is telling me, if I hover over, that it's syncing files still, and that there are, set it here, 221 remaining. It's quite a bit. So I'm going to keep letting it work. We're still syncing, but there's something I did leave out. So if I go back to my portal, and I go back to Office 365, you cannot sync until you have installed Office 365 onto your computer. So you would need to install this. If you click on this, you'll start to download. You save it, you'll download these Office products, and then you'll be able to sync your library to your computer. So let's see how far it's gotten so far. Okay, we have 18 files remaining. Let's see if... Okay, so the pictures synced up, so I see them here. And then if I go back, we're still waiting on that one, the one document down here. 3 files remaining, almost there. So let's check the status real quick. We have 1 file remaining. It's got to be that last file that we have called Orange Table. So now that we're linked or synced, so Orange, still waiting on Orange Table here. I'm actually going to lock that to the left, and then I have my online or my OneDrive version here. So these, if I change the icon, these should match up with all this. So these should match. Now what I'm going to do, just to show you real quick, is I'm going to create a PowerPoint presentation here. Alright, and I'm going to call it Oranges, Eric, and John. So I'm not going to share it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I save it. So I'm going to call it Oranges. And then, so it changed, so I saw the name change up here. I don't know if you caught that. But then, what I'm going to do is I want to close it. I'm going to go back to OneDrive. And I see down here, since it's still syncing, it's not going to happen right now. But so now it's syncing 2 documents. So it's got to be those 2 there. And so it just happened actually. So you saw what happened was it automatically showed up in the OneDrive for Business in your local computer. And what I can do now is if I exit this out, if I open this up, it'll open through the desktop version of PowerPoint. And the difference here is this is the desktop version, that you have much more functionality than the online version. Just to open up the portal again. Actually, while that's opening up, portal.office.com. Go back to PowerPoint. If I were to go and add a new slide here and call this oranges are good, and I save it, I sign into my portal here. maximize this, go to PowerPoint Online, open up Oranges, it's taking a second. And opening this, I went straight to PowerPoint. You could have done this through OneDrive. It would have opened PowerPoint Online. So it's still working. Check the status of my syncing. So it's finishing up, it looks like. So now it says it's up to date. If I look here, I don't see. Okay, so here's Oranges. Here's and I want to edit it online. And then here's the new slide there. And you could do the same thing we did with the Word document. Is if you were to share this, you can share it by inviting people directly and entering their email addresses here, and giving them the option to edit or view. You can also get a link. Now, what I noticed in the online version is you can, if you want to let the people who you're sharing with edit it, and this is a default, and you have a few more options here. You can allow them to view only, and you can allow people outside of the organization to view or edit as well. Or in other words, use a non-Microsoft, a non-modern day Catholic high school account. And here, this will create a QR code that you can use to share. You can share it that way, and you can check who you're sharing with here. If you're on the desktop version, you go to File, Share, and you have the same options here. You can invite people by typing in their emails directly, get the link, view or edit. You can email it as an attachment, and a couple other options here. So let's check one last time. So I don't see it. Unfortunately, that didn't show up, and I'm not sure why. So I'm looking for Orange Table Doc, and it's not here. So I'll have to figure that out. It might just show up at some point. It looks like, okay, it's still syncing, so it'll show up at some point. So this is the part where you want to pour yourself a cup of coffee and wait on those changes there. But I hope this helped.